put your little soap and stuff in. And what I did was I went to work. Well, first I had an idea. I wanted to start a business and I wanted to do something that I like to do. Because I heard somebody once say that if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And I really don't like working for other people personally. I do it because I have to, but the goal for me is to be my own boss and not work for somebody for the rest of my life. So pretty much
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Coach Kellie Speaks talk show hosted by Kellie Thompson. I am Dr. Sharon D. Cradle, and I am honored to serve as the guest in Kellie's absence. Thank you for joining us this evening. Again, although we are on Facebook Live, Kellie would really appreciate it if you would view the show from www.listenvisionlive.com so that she will get the rating credits. Now, a little about myself. I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago and boldly came to the East Coast to attend the great Virginia State University, home of the Trojans in Petersburg, Virginia, 36 years ago, as the first generation college student. My obedience to that journey shifted the trajectory of my family's life in numerous ways. How many of you know that you are here on this earth for a purpose that's greater than yourself? If you don't, continue to tune into this show to get some nuggets that you need to help you shift your mindset. I am the Chief Executive Officer and founder of the Dr. Sharon D. Cradle Corporation. I am the creator and host of the Woman Thou Art Great Women Sharpening Women Conference and all items connected to that particular organization and conference. The third conference, just save the date, will be held on March the 24th, 2018 in Maryland. So details to follow. Also, I am the president and founder of the You Are Great Empowerment Foundation, better known as URGE, which is a 501c3 foundation. And I'm also an author, a wife, a sister, a friend, and a child of God. And I am really, really excited to be able to serve in all of those capacities. In addition, I am a proud and active member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where we do a lot of community service. So, to find out more about me, please access my website at www.drsdc-corporation.org. Now, I know a lot of you all are wondering, how did Sharon get here today? Well, let me just tell you, I believe that life is destined. Each and every one of our lives has a purpose and a destiny. I met Kellie several years ago while I was in downtown Upper Marlboro looking for a hairstylist because I needed somebody in the clutch. And as I have always done, everywhere I go and find a hairstylist. And I don't think that finding a hairstylist for me in every place that I've ever lived or visit is about necessarily finding a hairstylist. It's about where the Holy Spirit is guiding me to meet the person that I need to meet at that moment. And what it has taught me over time is to not be stuck and limit myself. So the hairstylist, of course, is to get my hairstyle, but I think it had a greater purpose for me in my life. It's about not limiting myself and not getting stuck where I am. And so that is why I believe that I'm connected with Kellie. We both believe in Jeremiah 29:11, where it states, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." We also believe in Ephesians 3:20, "Now unto him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we ask or think, according to the power that worketh within us." Each of the guests that Kellie has had on her show has really touched on those two scriptures in some manner. Now, as you are aware, the Coach Kellie Speaks show focuses on personal development, business acumen, and financial preparedness. And she has dedicated the entire month of June to highlight the awesome accomplishments of men. On June the 12th, 2017, Coach Kellie interviewed Pastor Vince Olds, who talked about the power of men being significant in the personal development of men. And on 6/19/17, she interviewed her husband, Marty Thompson, who discussed his journey as an entrepreneur. So, as we go into the commercial break, I have the distinct pleasure when we return to interview my husband, Ira O'Cradle, and his oldest brother, my brother-in-love, Rufus P. Cradle Jr., because these men are truly brothers with purpose. See you after the commercial break. Welcome back to the Coach Kellie Speaks talk show. I have the distinct pleasure of introducing you to my first guest, my husband, Ira O'Cradle, and we've been married for over 20 years. So this is going to be a very easy interview for me because I think I know just about everything about Ira. But I think his conversation here today is going to benefit someone else out there because I get to hear it every day. So Ira, welcome.
It's good to be here, Sharon. Dr. Sharon.
Yes. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, as you stated, my name is Ira O'Cradle. We say Cradle because I'm a country boy from North Carolina. And that's pretty much who I am. Just a country boy from North Carolina.
So when you talk about the country boy from North Carolina, and those of you who know Ira and those of you who don't know Ira is a pretty humble man. So as you will see in this talk show today, I am going to bring some of that out of him. So Ira, you talked about being a country boy from North Carolina. Where are you from in North Carolina? And tell us a little bit about your experience growing up in North Carolina.
Well, most folks call me Ike, so for the folks out there in Listen Vision Land, I'm from the eastern part of North Carolina, a little place called James City. That's part of the New Bern Metroplex down there. Grew up in James City and graduated from New Bern Senior High School. Let's hear it for the class of '79. And once I graduated, I went off to school at a little place called Elon College, then Elon College. It's now Elon University. So I started off as a fighting Christian, so now I'm a Phoenix, but great experience there. Also, I received my commission. At that time, we had our program was in conjunction with the program at North Carolina A&T, so I claim a little bit of Aggie pride. I got my commission through their program and went off to serve in the Army for about 20 years, a little over 20 years as an Army officer, primarily in the artillery.
Wonderful. Yes, and I was on that journey with you, and it was a good journey. So, Ira, as you are aware, the Coach Kellie Speaks show is really focusing on brothers with a purpose, focusing on men. So tell us a little bit about your business that you have.
Wow. Well, my business is just a dream. I established a business about 5 years ago. It's called the Cradle Group, and it's really the Cradle Group Incorporated, and it's still a vision and a dream. We established this so that once my brothers and I retired, we can kind of have a place to transition into doing our own thing, so to speak. And primarily, we're a bunch of trainers, and we focused on problem solving. Obviously, been a former Army officer. That's in the realm of our expertise, decision making, leadership, problem solving. You could throw a little bit of American military history in there. You can throw a little bit of just organizational planning, but that's what it's all about. And again, it's just something to fulfill a dream later on in life.
Wonderful. So it's the Cradle Group, and you all are going to focus on a variety of areas. And who will your clients be? What clients are you going to try to solicit?
Well, obviously, it's the African American community. We're all about uplifting young people in our community. If you really know my brothers and I, each of them have a unique specialty. You're getting ready to interview our oldest brother in a little while. He's got 30 years on his belt with IBM and information technology, and whatever that stuff is, because I'm not a computer guy. But he'll explain that, and as well as we have the next to the oldest is in insurance underwriting. The other two guys are communication specialists, one in healthcare, working for the federal government, and one in the private sector. So they have a unique bunch of experiences that make the group what it is.
And before we go on to the next question, I would be remiss to not mention the importance of having Ira and Rufus here. Ira, there are 5 boys who were raised in James City, North Carolina by a single mother. And all of them are college educated. All of them are productive citizens.
All glory to God.
Yes, all glory to God. And I think that's important to say, because we hear so much negativity about our African American men, and I just say the devil is a liar, because there are so many men out here who are handling their business. And so I just felt like that was necessary to say, so you can understand the importance of where we're going in the conversation. So Ira, what has been the biggest obstacle to overcome in life for you?
I would say the biggest obstacle for me would be not being able to negotiate the distractions that prevented me from overcoming obstacles in the play. And what I mean by that is that those distractions can kind of hinder you from dealing with the normal obstacles that you're going to face in life. So I would say the inability to handle those distractions.
Can you give us
in
an
life.
example of that? What type of distraction?
Well, wasted time, wasted money. I can say during my early years in the Army, I was living a pretty reckless life. It was, if I could steal a line from the Temptations, it was a Rolling Stone. And when you say chasing women and drinking and a lot of those things I'm not proud of, but those things just kind of came with the territory. And again, you waste time. And if you can deal with those distractions and handle those, that helps sets you up for the ability to deal with any obstacles that you may face in life. And so I would say just learning how to prevent distractions in life.
And so, growing up as in a single home, a home with a single mom, what obstacles did you face there? Or how? No, let me ask you this: how did you approach fatherhood when you when you had your child, Alyssa? How did you approach fatherhood?
Wow. I would say I had a great mother who showed me love. And I learned very early on that if you show children love, then that really is all you really need. I was fortunate in that coming up in a single parent household, we had a few father figures, I would say, but really we kind of looked to our mother, and I can say this because he's here, but not just because he's here, but my oldest brother was that guy, was fortunately for us, was just a positive role model. He was an all-world athlete in high school, so we admired him for that. But not only that, he was just, he looked like a superhero. He was chiseled, and so we had a hero in him, and he was kind of the glue that kept our family together.
That is awesome. What an awesome testimony, and the way to give praise to your brother for all that he did for you guys growing up. So you've retired from the military. You now work for the federal government.
Absolutely.
You have established your own business. You've gotten your daughter through college, Howard University,
Right
which
the
is
street.
right across the street from here.
Shout out HU,
Undergrad and master's degree. So where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Well, I see
Where do
myself.
you see us?
Okay, well, well, I'm going to start with me first. I see myself trying to achieve what you've already achieved, a doctor of education and organizational leadership with an emphasis in Christian ministry. I see myself trying to transition out of the federal government and doing what I want to do, really when I want to do it, in what I would call a sanctified manner. And for those folks at New Chapel, they know what sanctification is all about. That's the continuous process of becoming holy. So we're just talking about continuous growth.
Yes. So for someone out there who's viewing in, what do you wish that they gain from the words that you have just shared with us?
Well, all we're trying to do is share our life experiences and show folks that if we can grow up in a single parent household by Rebecca Cradle, who just was an awesome woman. I mean,
she still is, because she's still alive.
That's right, is an awesome woman. I was just thinking about growing up.
Yes.
But if you think about the song Sadie, if you think about I Always Love My Mother, if you think about Tupac's Dear Mama, this was our mother. She was all those women wrapped up in one. She was just she is an awesome woman down there in James City, North Carolina. And I would say what I would hope that folks take away from this is our character, and that's the things that make us who we are. I would say I'll just look at the fraternity and say it was founded on. I'm a part of the world's greatest national Black Greek letter organization, Omega Psi Phi, founded on Christian principles, or Christian manhood, I should say, scholarship, perseverance, and uplift, and it's all about giving back. So we're trying to lift each other as we climb, and if I could steal your homegirl's words, Miss Alma from Chicago, she has several last names, but she wrote the song that you've heard quoted quite often, and that is, if I can help anyone as I pass along, if I can cheer someone with the words of a song, then my living will not be in vain. So that's what we're all about.
That is wonderful. And so if someone wants to get in contact with you just to learn a little bit more about you, or even to secure some of your services, what email address would you give them so that they can reach out to you?
That's easy. That's icredel@comcast.net. I don't know if we're supposed to give them a
Can you
shout
spell
out.
it? Spell it.
I, as in India, Credel, CRED as in Delta, LE, at Comcast.net.
Thank you so much, Ira, for those words of inspiration and for being willing to be here today. So what we're going to do now is go to another commercial break. And at that time, we will bring Rufus on stage so that we can engage in a conversation with him. So hang in there with us. Welcome back, everyone, to the Coach Kellie Speaks talk show. Thank you for returning for the second segment of her show. Again, my name is Dr. Sharonde Cradle, and I am serving as the guest host in Kellie's absence today. Now, I have the pleasure of having a conversation with my brother-in-law, Rufus P. Cradle Jr.
Absolutely.
He drove all the way up from North Carolina to be with us today.
Absolutely.
And we are so excited to have you here, Rufus. And his dear wife, Peggy, is in the background watching us and giving us some encouragement here today. So we appreciate you guys. So Rufus, introduce yourself to the audience.
I shall, and I'll take a point of personal privilege. I said I'm following an international queue. I can't believe that. But I'll go ahead and do a shout out to my brothers, 1111906. Okay. Now all you alphas that are out there today, just like to say, I'm glad to be here. It's always a privilege to be in the DMV area. And, let me just share this with you. I know my brother has already talked about, a little bit about James City. I almost said Southside James City. Nobody ever heard anything like that. But I just thought it'd be funny just to kind of open some things up. But yes, James City is a little small town on the other side of New Bern, North Carolina. That was once the largest black community that housed a lot of former slaves during the Civil War era. But for those who know about James City and may have visited that area, a nice little community grew out of all of that. But anyway, I'm a former Navy. I want to get beyond the James City piece real quick. But I'm former Navy. I spent about 11 years in the United States Navy. I did 4 years active duty, did 7 years reserve. What came of all of that as far as I took on the role as a radioman, which is an IT specialist in the U.S. Navy today. This led to me transitioning out of the United States Navy into, I think, still the greatest corporation in the world. Uh, Basically, at that time, it was top 5 corporate America, which was IBM. I basically put in 37 years with IBM, and that, boy, with all of that, you get excited. You go out and get married. You go have some kids. You do a lot of great things. And I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful to share my experience and some other things with you guys. So I won't take over the
So let me ask you
Sharon's
this:
questions right now.
why the Navy versus going to college initially?
Well, I did. I did start off at college. I spent 1 year in college, and I went on basically grant and aid as for a scholarship to run track at Campbell University, or Campbell College at the time, which is south of Raleigh. What happened to me was that if anyone knows about the Ku Klux Klan in Johnson County, North Carolina, that was basically why I left Campbell, and I needed money to actually go back to college, so I ended up joining the Navy. And the Navy at that particular time had a steel GI Bill plan that I took advantage of. So it kind of set the tone, set the foundation for a lot of other things to come, and I could continue to share with you.
So let me ask you this: being the oldest, because I am the oldest sibling of girls, and so being the oldest, what was in you that prompted you to become a role model for your brothers and to leave and set that example for them?
Right. Well, I was thinking about one of the questions you had asked Ike was about some of the obstacles, and I thought about one of my obstacles was that I consider a challenge as far as not having a father in the house. Okay, and then I'm thinking about somebody I can go to and address questions, things that I was experiencing, and didn't know how to handle. So I thought about that, and I kind of leaned toward a couple of uncles. He had just mentioned, a couple of uncles. My uncle is Milton Tripp out of Morehead City, and the other one is Bill Pearsall out of Greenville, North Carolina. These are 2 guys I pretty much look to as for watching how they were actually handling their family and leading their family. And I was pulling stuff from everywhere as far as trying to determine as for how I could share these things and lead my brothers to the point where we're not out there being distracted and doing a lot of things in the street we should not be doing. Okay, and that was very helpful for us. We had our little skirmishes as young men growing up, but we still love each other. We got through it, and after a couple of broomsticks upside the head by our mother, we really got straightened out. So we're thankful for that, and thankful for God that God kept that type of woman in our lives.
Yes. And so what has been your biggest obstacle in life and in business? Because you really didn't say that you just retired from IBM on March the 31st, 2017. And I bring that up because that is no easy feat. And so what have been your challenges in business and in life?
The challenge I had was just trying to get above a certain pay grade. I guess I can use that term in corporate America, to the point where you never know who's holding you back. I was doing everything that I possibly could to get to that next level and then that next level, and just giving it all I could, because I have a make it happen attitude. And it was just that was the piece that I couldn't get beyond. But I didn't blame anybody for it. That's the society we live in, and I just had to take it for what it was worth and just move on. So.
And I know that you spoke earlier about God being present in your life. So how important was your faith and developing your spiritual faith and spiritual life to your successes?
Wow. I can smile about that, and I can smile real hard. It just turned everything around. It's turned everything around to the point where, I guess at the age of 27, I think we were about 5 years married at the time, that, I still want to go out there and hang out with my friends, go to clubs, do that kind of thing. But I had to come to realize that I had a family at home, and that, and how God was instilled in them. And I was just thankful that God kind of brought me home to the point where I could focus on them, focus on raising my kids, being a better husband to my wife, it's been rough out there with distractions and all those things. But I'm just thankful that after 38 years that, she and I are still together, regardless of what came about.
Yes.
It's the finances and everything that was coming about at one time. But we got beyond that.
So how did you approach fatherhood? How did you approach that in terms of raising your children? What were some of the things you were thinking? I know you talked about instilling God in them, but what are some other things?
I guess that's real easy too, because I kept thinking about how I did not want my kids to experience the things that my brothers and I had experienced, to the point as far as mother being on welfare and, waiting for the welfare check to come, waiting for the food to come, that kind of thing. I was determined to make sure that my kids never experienced anything like that. And I've just been blessed. I've just been blessed with a great job. I couldn't share enough about what this company has done for me, or what it had done for me as for when I was still working there. So I'll leave it at that right now.
So what do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Because you've done a lot, and you've just retired after a long career in a small stint in the United States military. You've gone back to school and earned your degrees. Your children are educated and have their own family. So
I can pry. Let me go and throw it out there.
So where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
Right now, this is happening right now. As soon as I decided to retire, I got more involved with community service programs. As for the community service programs within my church, community service programs within my fraternity, what we have at my church, Mount Zion Church, Cary, North Carolina. The deacons, I am one of the deacons there. And also, but we have the junior deacon detail, right, where the junior deacon detail, these young men we help distribute their service to some of the seniors and some of the folks who need certain things done to their house, home, whatever you want to call it, as far as cutting grass, painting. We had a junior deacon detail to actually work on those type of projects. The other project within my fraternity right now has been Project Alpha, which is I chair that program because I want to fight this whole issue with teen pregnancy at such a young age. And, coming along, all these programs was pretty much directed at a lot of young females, but we realized that we had to direct some attention to the young males because they're part of that equation as well.
Yes.
And we, even right now within this program, we try to have them to practice abstinence, okay? We have them to practice as far as using condoms, a whole lot of these different things.
Yes.
So we're going to keep putting these guys to work.
I love that, because our young men, and that's the purpose of this whole show for this month, is really focusing on men. And so we do have to be intentional and targeted when we start talking about our young men. So bless you for being a part of that organization and that particular activity. And before we go into the commercial break, what is one thing that you want the audience to walk away with from you being here today?
I'm so glad just to share my experience, because I know there are a whole lot of different experiences that are out there. But still being a black man in America, there's a lot of things you got to pay attention to around here. Otherwise, you're going to get overrun with so many issues. But I want to tell you that you can get through those issues, but first you got to pray about it. Then you got to have a plan to move on. Okay. Then you got to build some bridges, have some friends to help you move along. We just got a lot of good people out here in the world, other than what people are actually seeing on CNN and Fox News and all this other stuff. We got a lot of great people out here. So continue to stay encouraged. You can make it happen.
And so how can someone get in contact with you if they need to reach out to you after this interview?
Sure, I am a social media junkie, so you can find me on LinkedIn, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, but email, as my brother shared earlier, you can find me at rcradle906@gmail.com. I could have added 1906, but 906 was good.
And what about Facebook?
Facebook, you just have to look up Rufus Cradle on the Facebook, and you'll find me there. Same thing as for LinkedIn as well. And be sure to just Google Rufus Cradle. You'll find me all over the place. When I was with IBM, and what I didn't share is that I published at least 50 plus books Also, as far as papers, as far as IBM, because like I was actually developing how-to manuals for the company. Great job. It was a great job. I can't tell you how bad that was.
It was a career.
Yes.
And what I love what you said, and this is, I think, just a nugget to walk away with, audience. Rufus talked about first praying, but then after you pray, you need to have a plan. Because if you don't have a plan, you can pray all day long, but you have to take action to get to accomplishing the goals that you have set for yourself. So Rufus, I really, really appreciate that comment.
Sure.
And because this is my brother-in-law, I'm going to take a little liberty to state that the five brothers, as I mentioned earlier, are all college educated, just doing well in life. Not perfect human beings, but just doing absolutely wonderful in life. But what really gets me is that they take care of their mother. And it is just an amazing thing to see. And I don't know if you want to talk about that, Rufus. And I know Rufus kind of was the leader and trying to make sure that Mama Becky, as I call her, was going to be taken care of in life because she took very good care of them. So you want to talk about that, just a touch?
I can give you the 30-second piece
Yes.
because as of last week, we paid off her house.
Yes.
Second, as of today, she just went out and got her new car.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, as far as being at the age of 78, I mean, she means the world to us. I don't know who's going to get the next payment on whatever the product is, but, you know, we'll be fine. And let me just mention, the brothers' names are Joseph Patrick Cradle, Kimmel Fred Cradle, and Marvin Earl Cradle. So those are the gentlemen that you do not see here tonight. So, you know,
Yes.
Rebecca Cradle is just awesome.
Yes, and congratulations. And I bring that up because when we take care, parents that take care of their children take care of them. And that is our role, children, to take care of our parents and to do it in in a loving way to make sure that our parents' later days are with peace. And they don't have to worry about what's next for them. So God bless you all, Cradle Men, and I'm just thankful to be a part of the family. So we're going to take our final commercial break, and when we come back, Ira is going to join Rufus and I here on the stage to do our final segment. So hang in there with us. See you soon. Welcome back to the final segment of the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. Oh, we've had such a wonderful conversation here this afternoon. And so for the last segment, we wanted to come together and really talk about, some hot topics of today. And so I have a question that I would like to ask for Ira and Rufus to answer. There is this prevailing thought that women cannot raise boys to be men. And so I am just interested in hearing your perspective on that particular question. Rufus?
Yes, I'll take that question. That's a lie, okay? And it's been proven by this family as far as how Rebecca Cradle actually put forth all the time and effort to raise 5 boys. May not made all the basketball games or football games or the track meets, but I mean, we were doing it all. She just couldn't be there because she was constantly working, trying to make sure that we continued to put clothes on our back, I mean, she continued to put the clothes on her back. We weren't doing nothing. And also to maintain a real healthy household.
Okay, and Ira?
I would say absolutely a woman can raise men. Yeah, there's going to be some things that you're going to learn from the streets, or you're just going to have to do, as Rufus said earlier, through observation, just kind of trying to identify those positive attributes that you may see in some men in the neighborhood. But I would share this with you. When a young man sees their mother working hard to do everything that she needs to do to take care of them. I was sharing the other night about the walk. I call it the walk. Very
Great
quickly.
story, yes.
I was a teenager, and I asked my mother to let me borrow her car because she was getting ready to do the graveyard shift, and she said, "Sure." I went to pick up my girlfriend. We picked up my mom at about 10 o'clock. She was going to go in to do an 11 to 7. So I was happy. I had the car. I dropped her off. She was then working at a textile plant called Texfy down in North New Bern. And I was paralyzed. I was trying to back up out of the parking lot as she went into the gate, she had to walk down this long sidewalk to enter the building. And when when I saw her go into the gate initially, then she made the right and she walked all the way down that sidewalk. I just could not move the vehicle. And all I remember thinking to myself was, okay, it's about 11 o'clock at night. She's getting ready to pull a shift until 7 o'clock in the morning. And I said to myself right then, and I don't know how we were going to do it, but I said, one day, my mom will not have to work anymore. And praise be to God, thanks to my brother and the brothers that he just mentioned, she has been retired now, where she can just work in the community and do the things she wants to do. So we're just extremely proud of her. And so I would say yes.
Wonderful. So, what advice would you give single mothers raising African American males today?
As I said this earlier, but you definitely have to have a plan. Depending on what your circumstances are, you got to have a plan to do something. I don't know if like you're down in the dumps or you're middle class or you're rich. I don't care what it is. You still got to have a plan as for what you're going to do to properly raise your kids and to keep them away from trouble. Because trouble will come at every turn because the devil is at work. So just keep that in mind. So let's start there.
Ira?
I would say what happened for us is a pretty good blueprint. It started off at Mount Shiloh Missionary Baptist Church in James City, North Carolina, rock throwing distance from our trailer. And she not only made sure we got there, she was there with us. And you start off with that foundation, and then you find your child's niche, and you support them in their goals, and you push them. You have to continuously push them, especially our African American males, and into being the successful people that you know that they can be.
Wonderful. And finally, before we go off the air, what advice would you provide African American males about navigating life, school, and career?
Navigating life. Well, you know, I can answer that question real easy because I'm working on my grandson right now. And you're talking about a young man that has been distracted by many things. It gets complicated for him. And so he and I, he's home from school right now. He and I have to continue to have numerous conversations as far as how he positions himself for the next semester at A&T. I forgot to say that too. As far as those things he wants to do, he has pretty much set a career path for himself as far as wanting to be a physical therapist. He thought he needed to change schools to continue this path and all. But I just say you just need to do the work. You need to stay focused. And you need to continue to Matter of fact, we have been talking to physical therapists just to get the inside track as for what is going to be required to actually pursue that particular position. And I know it's sad to say, but I got him focused on $100,000 jobs. I think about when I was still coming along and about to come out of the military, I kept thinking to myself that I'd probably be satisfied with a $10,000 job. I had my sights set way too low. So I talked about the doctor's position. I talked about the lawyer positions. Now we're talking about physical therapy. I think that you need to shoot for the moon. And what's that? What they say? You just may land among the stars.
Yes.
And that we're hoping that we'll feel all the information, the relationships he's presently building right now is going to see him through. Isn't that what you Q say?
That's right.
And before I move over to Ira, you said something that I believe is so important, Rufus, being a over 28-year public school educator. It's about expectations. And when we establish those expectations for our children, for the men in our lives, and we help them to reach those expectations, they can become all that they are designed to be, and that is our role. So Ira, the same question for you. What advice would you give African American males who are navigating life, school, and a career?
This is advice that I would give everybody, to include my baby girl, Alyssa Danielle, but I give everybody this advice, and I think it applies to them as well. Character matters. It matters how you treat people. These are just some axioms that I've lived by. Make it your business to know your business. If you are going to be a ditch digger, as was mentioned in some famous speeches, try to be the best ditch digger. And also, there's a Bible verse that I learned early on in Sunday school. It's simply Galatians 6, verse 9. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. You're going to go through some struggles in life. You're going to see some ups and downs. So I guess the watchword would be perseverance. And that would be the advice that I would, going back to see it through.
Yes.
You know?
Wonderful. That was very, very powerful. And I just have chills sitting here in between these two family members of mine and just listening to them speak with such power and authority. So in closing, what you all have kind of surmised here is that having a vision, having a determined mindset, being disciplined, spiritual maturity, being positive, and having loving and supportive relationships is really the formula for success, both personally and professionally. And so we thank everyone for tuning in to the Coach Kellie Speaks show. It has truly been an honor. I pray that you are walking away with something. And that something is my phrase that I've coined. Shift your mindset and the view will change. And life is for the living. So go out and do everything that you're destined to do in this world and reach back and help somebody else, because that's our service. So we thank you all. Kellie, we miss you.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes.
very
Thanks,
much.
Kellie.
I hope we made you proud. And thank you everyone for listening. So please tune in to the Coach Kellie Show every Monday on listenvisionlive.com from 5 to 6, where she has some very personal and powerful topics that we all can benefit from. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And God bless you.
God bless you.
For the bros.
Coach Kellie, and I wanted to just say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. It has been amazing. You guys following my journey, the show, social media, just emails, everything. It has been amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say thank you enough. Love you so much. And here's a look back from last week's show.
This show is live, so we had to just take a quick break so that we could I had to do a mic change, which is normal. You have to make those changes and adjustments. I want to make sure that my voice have clarity, and that's just a great object lesson, because in life, sometimes things in your life can distort your vision.
Like you got the whole, classroom stinking. Stop wearing that stuff. I would put it in my locker. I mean, I just always would like to smell good. It just would make me feel better. So that's what gave me the idea to get into fragrances and stuff like that. And so I just started small with a bag, and I went to work, and
Wasn't that amazing? If you missed it, don't worry. You can catch the replay at www.coachkellie.net. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel at Coach Kellie Speaks. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Coach Kellie Speaks. We'll see you soon.